When people look at a map of America, they tend to only notice the lines making up state borders. But state boundaries aren't what make New Englanders proud of their intelligence or Appalachians love their entertainment. It all goes back to the formation of regional identities of different American nations. Going back to the 16th and 17th centuries, 11 nations were spread across America. All believed they were the best. The idea of being a city on a hill, or exceptional in some way, created tensions between the nations. Distinct identities formed and would remain separate even till now.
Yankeedom was one of the earliest nations formed in America. It was a self-governing republic with local political control. Its founding ideals emphasized religion and a higher education. The people who founded Yankeedom were middle-class, well-educated citizens. They based their rules on morals and respected intellectual success. Yankeedom spread across the upper Midwest to what is now upstate New York, Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and northern parts of Iowa, Illinois, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. The decision to move westward was due to shortcomings of land. Political leaders in the region supported the idea, and they traveled as communities often led by ministers. On arrival, these communities made new towns, not just farms, with master plans detailing streets, a town green, common, a congregational or Presbyterian meeting house, and most importantly, a public school.
New Netherland was a nation founded by a diverse group of individuals. They were a nation of immense tolerance toward diversity. The region was a center for the nation's commerce, as well as the center for media, publishing, and economics. People living in New Netherland had the chance of upward mobility in a highly tolerant environment. This nation did not experience growth. Its impact, however, was not stifled by its small size. America is a country that prides itself on tolerance and social mobility, both attributes that were gained from New Netherland's impact. New Netherland as a nation shrank and was absorbed by the Midlands, lasting only around New York City.
The Midlands had similar beliefs to New Netherlands, as it as well was an ethnic mosaic that tolerated diversity. The people emphasized equality and freedom, as women and men were spiritually considered equal. As the Midlands spread, it moved across the country, filling in much of the central Midwest. The diverse group of people spread equally throughout the new territory. Quakers and Germans sought to expand religious freedom, while British immigrants came for economic opportunity. The Midlands provided hope for success for many people. This region became a buffer between the radical Yankees and Appalachians. Today, many swing states occupy what was the Midlands.
Ruthless Scottish-Irish immigrants came to the United States after many regions had already formed and were thriving. Both Yankees and Deep Southerners would not allow such reckless individuals to settle into their territory. Therefore, they moved to the non-inhabited mountainous region known as Appalachia. These people founded their nation as a frontier and despised Yankee reformers and Southern aristocrats. Coming from a war-torn Scotland, these men knew how to fight and were good at it. They based their culture on self-reliance and were in constant conflict with either other nations or Native Americans. Appalachia spread wider and quicker than any other nation. It spread in order to gain access to the Ohio and Mississippi rivers. Even with more access to other nations from these rivers, it still remained a rural nation that emphasized low taxes, few schools and libraries, and the hard-working, honest farmer. As Appalachia spread, it widened its gap with Yankeedom and aligned itself more closely with the Deep South. Entertainment in this region today still reflects the greater Appalachians' value in amusement. Race car driving, boxing, and running across porta potties reflect their view on education and emphasis on pure entertainment.
Tidewater was the most powerful region during the colonial period after being founded through conservative roots. It was an economic, social, and political headquarters for English aristocrats. These men ruled through fear and hoped to conquer their newly acquired territory rather than settle and farm it. Their country club nation was run by indentured servants and failed to emphasize education and self-sufficiency. Tidewater was unable to expand because its power was lost to the Deep South. Most of Tidewater's territory was engulfed by the Deep South, but some original territory remained around southern Virginia and parts of North Carolina.
The Deep South was modeled after Britain's most inhumane colony of Barbados. Noted for its economic and racial disparities, both Barbados and the Deep South prided themselves on slavery. A caste system consisting of the elite plantation owners, middle-class and lower-class whites, and slaves shaped the nation's culture and instilled a sense of white supremacy. With the decline in tobacco demand, plantations began growing cotton. Cotton grew exceptionally well in the southern nation, and with huge profits, plantation owners demanded expansion. In order to gain more land, the region expanded west until 1850. In addition to westward expansion, the South also tried to conquer tropical neighboring countries such as Cuba in order to profit on their slave systems. Today, Southern states typically vote very conservatively because they value states' rights over big government.
New France was the most liberal of all the nations. Its culture blended a French political, social system with the culture of native people from America. The region emphasized multiculturalism and equality. Its long-term impact on overall American culture was not significant.
The left coast was founded by merchants, woodsmen, and missionaries from Yankeedom, and farmers, prospectors, and fur traders from Greater Appalachia. The people originally settling on the left coast tried to recreate New England, but on the Pacific. They were drawn to the area for its abundance of lumber and other resources. Along with these people came their ideas from both the Yankees and Appalachians. The newly created culture was a mix of Yankeedom's utopia based on morals and intellectualism, and of Appalachia's self-sufficient individualism. Additionally, Yankees saw the region as an opportunity to create a second city on a hill. After the left coast's initial settlement, the region did not expand much into the west, for it was already an extension of New England in Greater Appalachia.
El Norte was the oldest nation, founded in the late 16th century. These Mexicans were very Americanized as they were harder working and more self-sufficient than their native Mexican counterparts. El Norte existed long before the other nations, and although it was not culturally significant, it allowed the United States to fulfill the Manifest Destiny. The Far West was the last nation to be founded. It was centered around industrial hubs on the edges of its territory. These industries were created to extract the natural resources in the area. The region did not spread beyond its borders because there was nowhere to expand into. By regionalizing this area, the Far West fulfilled the Americans' hope for the Manifest Destiny, as this region connected the East and the West coasts. Today, these regions are not as distinct as they were 150 years ago, but the ideas, beliefs, and values are still present. Voting patterns, educational institutions, entertainment, social classes, and governmental involvement reflect the initial foundation of the different national identities of America.